the Georgian Buffon or a relic from a bygone era? No sweep, no keep. Just how good is Giorgi Mamardashvili?
Becker might have some more work to do here as the ball is sent towards goal. Giorgi Mamardashvili.
In terms of his shot stopping, Mamardashvili does concede more goals than other top goalkeepers, but he plays for a weaker team. It's his ability to prevent goals which shines through. If you look at prevented goals per 90 minutes, he's a net positive for his team, consistently keeping them in matches where others might falter. He's got quick reactions for a big man. He's a bit like a Buffon or a Pajaluka. He's got that balanced, compact stance despite being quite an imposing figure, which allows him to spring either way quickly. His resting position is a well-executed squat. It allows him to stay on his toes, and he's ready to react to shots from any angle. He's got very quick hands. He's ambidextrous as well. Someone who's slightly more left-hand dominant, but he's got reflexes of both sides, so that's going to make him a challenging keeper for attackers to beat. He's got powerful hands as well, which makes him highly effective at saving long-range shots. He parries these shots away from dangerous areas, not really giving away many sort of second chance opportunities. And again, he's got that imposing presence, which sort of puts off attackers from even taking long shots in the first place because they know he's big, he's strong, he's agile. It's quite an imposing player to try and shoot from long range against.
Here's where their skill sets lie. Mamardashvili gets there.
When assessing Mamardashvili's ability to play as a sweeper keeper, it becomes clear that this aspect of his game is not really that developed. He doesn't really make many defensive actions outside his penalty area. His average distance away from goal is only 12.3 metres. Now, you could argue that this is due to a tactical decision influenced by his team's defensive structure, but the eye test suggests that there's more to it. When he does leave his line, he doesn't exude the same level of composure seen in other modern ball-playing goalkeepers. His movements look rushed, they look erratic, and he just looks plain uncomfortable. He doesn't give off the air of someone who could easily slot into an outfield role if he played, lower down the professional divisions. In 1v1 situations outside the box, when he's the favourite to reach the ball first, his size and courage do serve him well, allowing him to make decisive interventions. However, when the attacker has that slight advantage, Mamardashvili tends to struggle, either getting beaten or being quite reckless in the challenge. Again, he is quite fearless when he goes to ground, and his willingness to dive into challenges and use his large frame to make himself as big as possible should be applauded, but it lacks finesse, it lacks timing consistently to thwart advancing attackers.
Turnover in possession once more. Now a foot race for the ball. Mamardashvili gets to the edge of his area.
Hey guys, just to let you know, we've just created a new channel. It's going to be more like a podcast type of setting. You're going to meet the rest of the Pythag gang, in-depth analysis as always, but in more team-based type scenarios, more hot topic-based content. So please subscribe to the Pythagoras Perspective. And also, if you're interested in watch-alongs and weekly fantasy football discussions, also consider subscribing to us in our playback channel. All of these are available in the description below. See you guys there.
In
1-on-1 situations, Mamardashvili is a bit of a mixed bag. He's got the wingspan, he's got that physical presence, so that should in theory make him an asset in 1-on-1 situations. He does have that ability to spread himself, which makes it difficult for opponents to find spaces to shoot. And once he's physically committed to that 1-on-1 duel, his strength generally allows him to overpower the opposition and neutralize the attack. And he is big, and he's got that ability to stay big, so that's key factors in his success. And he generally is able to use his size to cut down the angles and reduce the target area for attackers. However, he does have this vulnerability to getting nutmegged in 1-on-1 situations, or generally just not getting the distancing right so that players can get the finish off. And also the big criticism I'd have is that I don't think he's proactive enough in terms of manipulating the situation to his advantage. Unlike a keeper like an Alisson, who's got the ability to play mind games, excel at forcing attackers into difficult positions or mistakes, I think Mamardashvili comes too much at a straight angle. He's quite static, and that allows attackers at times to just round the keeper, and they have more control of the situation than they should. So I think he needs to be more proactive and force these mistakes, read the attacker's intentions earlier, and this could become an asset rather than at the moment it's an area of development. Mamardashvili's influence in Valencia's build-up play is minimal, and that reflects both his team's tactical philosophy and also his own limitations with the ball at his feet. They often instruct him to go long, which naturally will reduce his passing accuracy. And yeah, his passing percentage is low, but it's expected given the number of forward passes he's being forced to attempt. When you look at the eye test, however, his short passing under pressure is concerning, even when he does have that freedom to pass it short. He's made several significant errors when pressed, and that highlights his discomfort in possession. He doesn't look confident. He panics when faced with the press. His judgment of where to pass is questionable, and even his first touch can be poor, even in the most simple of situations. So for me, this area of his game requires significant improvement. And he's 23 years old, so he's relatively young, but there is still a question mark as to how much he can develop this aspect of his game. For him to reach the next level, to play for an elite ball-playing team, he really needs to benefit from playing with a team with a possession-based philosophy right now that would force him to refine his passing and composure under pressure. I don't think him staying at Valencia makes any sense for me, especially if the plan is for him to move to a club like Liverpool, where they're going to want the best ball-playing keepers in the world to make that Arnie slot system work.
Mamardashvili.
Long passing forms a significant part of Mamardashvili's game. He attempts nearly 8.6 long balls per game, and he has an accuracy rate of 64%. Now that's pretty impressive considering how frequently he's having to attempt these long passes compared to other goalkeepers. But whilst the stats seem favourable, the eye test tells a slightly different story. His technique when taking these long goal kicks or passes, it isn't particularly efficient or aesthetically pleasing, and it doesn't really stand out as elite. His long passes often lack the precision needed to put his teammates into advantageous positions. His teammates frequently have to battle for possession rather than receiving that long ball in their stride, and this can result in a number of lost balls, which suggests that his long passing accuracy is somewhat inflated. He can, get the ball in the right area, but the lack of finesse in the pass means that it's not easy to receive. And for a goalkeeper at the highest level, refining this aspect of his game is going to be crucial.
Plays the ball back to Mamardashvili.
And immediately his distribution upfield is one to set off for Diego Lopez.
Now, whilst we've generally been quite negative in terms of Mamardashvili's distribution, when it comes to progressive passes, starting counter-attacks, especially when the ball's in his hand, Mamardashvili shows a willingness to take risks, but he also advances the play quite effectively, and this is where his distribution out of hand really shines. He's got that ability to distribute quickly and accurately when kicking from hand or throwing, which is definitely one of his standout qualities. Over 50% of his throws cover more than 40 yards, and they're typically very accurate. And his kicking out of hand is also impressive. It allows him to pick out teammates in space with good vision, good technique. And this out-of-hand distribution is reminiscent of David Raya, who also excelled at kicking from, out of hand, but wasn't truly elite in terms of ground-based passing.
Absolutely, that's right. Christensen. Cancelo's ball. And this time, Mamardashvili can claim.
In terms of aerial dominance, cross-management, Mamardashvili stands out as a goalkeeper with a strong command of the box, particularly in aerial situations. He wins almost 96% of his aerial duels. He can out-muscle opponents, he can secure high balls, which can take the pressure off his defenders. And he's a proactive keeper. He makes an average of 1.66 exits per 90 minutes. So he's got that willingness to relieve his defenders of responsibility in crowded box situations. What I would say though is that he often looks to punch the ball clear rather than catching it. Now, whilst this does lead to less possession retention, his punches are typically effective in clearing the danger. He's not afraid to jump over or through opposing players. So he's definitely a proactive, aggressive keeper when dealing with crosses. Again, this is an area of his game where he mirrors a David Raya. In terms of a slight weakness, whilst he does excel in aerial situations, I'd say he's less comfortable when dealing with low-driven crosses across the 6-yard box. I don't think his handling in these scenarios is as reliable, and this is an area of his game that requires further development to round out his game. In conclusion, Mamardashvili is a goalkeeper from a bygone era. If he was in the 90s, he'd be seen as an elite goalkeeper. He's a good shot stopper, he's someone who's strong from crosses, but in the modern game you need to be comfortable in playing with a high line and also be comfortable as the 11th man in possession, and Mamardashvili is definitely wanting in those areas of the game. The question is, what do you do about his development path? Do you take a punt on him? If so, what to do with him? I definitely wouldn't allow him to remain at Valencia because he's not going to iron out those kinks in his game by staying at Valencia. He has to be loaned out to a club where there's going to be that patience and also that strictness to make sure that he passes out at all costs and he learns that part of the game. Because at Valencia, he's just going to stay in his comfort zone. Even putting his possessional weaknesses to the side, there's still part of his traditional goalkeeping that needs improving. For example, his one-on-one, his handling, and obviously he's going to need to handle the pressure of playing for a big team as well. There's still question marks on that front. So this is not going to be an easy purchase. This is going to need time and investment and patience. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed that video. Please like, share and subscribe and see you guys again next time. Bye.